Hello and welcome to ELHS Game Development. I must say that project-based learning excites me. I just can't get enough of it. But there's a lot of caveats, a lot of things to be aware of when you're getting into project-based development. And one of those things is meeting the students where they're at, being very cognizant, being very formative in your assessment at all times, having a very tight grip on reality of what your students know and do not know. With that being said, I did a fine gleaning through the results from last year, look where the students were as a collection, and I came up with some summative statistics that helped me dial back my previous iteration for this unit. This unit is going to be the first unit where the students are going to be able to create their full blast first game in Node.js. It's going to be a command line game, but it's going to incorporate a lot of patterns, a lot of teamwork, that will be essential for more aggressive, more higher level, complex things in the future. Let's go ahead and take a look at, first of all, what are the things that these students are expected to come in with? What are some of the baseline essentials that they should come in with? Well, they should already have a fairly good understanding of objects and functions. In fact, up to this point, they will have worked on control flow, developing an understanding of what are different control structures that provide control flow within a program. They will also be looking a lot into different data types and how those data types work and different accessors and different types of integrations of those data types within a control flow. Now, that type of proficiency would have been developed primarily using REPLs or read, evaluate, print loops in Node.js, and it would have either been online at REPL.it, it would have been possibly in their terminal on their own Mac laptops, or possibly using the Hyperterminal app by Zeit. I'll be using the Zeit app because of some of the plugin features that it enables. And I will be using the REPL terminal whenever the students mess up their development environment. They find a way, even though we try to lock them down as much as possible. But you always have to have your fallbacks. So going back to after they've developed their understanding of control flow, using those REPL environments, and also using as well, they'll also use flowcharts. So of course they'll use flowcharts. What am I saying? And those flowcharts will be great. So let's take a look over at some of the other things that they'll be looking into. They'll be looking into, types of functions. They'll be looking into module design patterns, discussing object literal design patterns for modules, IFI module design patterns, and then they'll be getting further into synchronous versus asynchronous. They'll be developing a deeper understanding of how to implement synchronous type of syntax, really when they're running asynchronous functions by using the async await pattern. They will have had a little bit of experience with this in the past, working within repo or REPL environment, playing around with set timeouts, playing around with the fetch API, but nothing that was a full blast product of any significance. Okay, so this is the overview of the kind of like the guts of what they're expected to focus on. Let's go over to the package Json for this particular one. Now, what I've done since my last iteration is I've taken out all type of training and testing. I was going to, right off the bat, teach the students how to test using Mocha and Shy, or possibly the built-in assertion test that Node has, but I decided to pull all of that out completely and keep that only for the students that want to go for that higher level of performance within this unit, level 4 we would call it. So I pulled all the testing out. My main entry point right over here, let's take a look at that. The main entry point is an IFI, an asynchronous IFI, so it's an immediately invoked function expression that also uses an async await pattern, so that it can incorporate this mini game, which I'll show you in a moment, which is in a separate module, and then let that mini game complete. And then after the mini game completes, then kind of finish things off with a little, more or less a logo and saying that this was brought to you by Eddie's Productions, and it will show you a little logo there. But managing asynchronous behavior with the async await design is really important in this unit. And also utilizing modules in a wise way is important. Let's take a look at that guest game module. The guest game module is actually exported as an object literal. The object literal is called guest game, and then it's exported at the bottom down there. And again, there's modules brought into this. I'll be having the students, as part of their project, add to this .random module, which I started off over here as a little math random functions type of module, where they'll be able to add some other random functionality functions to it. And that being said, I also took advantage of a third-party module. Should I say it's called readline sync, to kind of hide a little bit of the complexity in dealing with the readline function. So I thought that was really nice because it made this guest game module very clean in terms of its implementation of async await. Let's go ahead and see this in action. Another important point to bring out here is that this is using a database. It's using a Firebase account. So the students will also be making a Firebase account and setting it up and integrating it in. So here is a user with a user ID right here that has already played this game, that has this many tries in this number guessing game. And let's see how this works out. So let's go and run it. And it first asks for my email. And it asks for my password. And then here it goes. It reads from the database. It noticed, hey, I've played it before and I had this many tries. And then it tells me I'm on try number 1 in the current game. So I'm going to guess. Guess again. Come on. Maybe. Maybe. Here I go. And then finally I got the number correct. And then it spit out there the logo at the end. So the main function waited until that mini game was done. And then it, finished or completed the overall main game right there. So that's what I'm at. That's where I'm at right now in the unit. I'll be getting into all the little assignments and so forth and further on in this series. But I'm just trying to be transparent with you as I develop this project-based learning unit. Thank you. Please subscribe, please like, and ask questions below in the comments.